Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for September 17th, 2019. We'll begin with salute the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Bransky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Okay, Township had, the supervisors had an executive session before our meeting. Mr. Clark, can you summarize, please?
Yes, Mr. Harvey, the board held an executive session to discuss various personnel matters and to discuss a matter of potential litigation involving a land development matter.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving along. Item number 1 is public comment. Bob Waters.
Good evening, gentlemen. You know, my conversation has just changed 180 degrees.
Can you grab the other,
Yeah,
pull
I
the
don't know
other
if
mic
that's on.
closer?
Does that work?
The big one.
Whatever one.
Oh, I figured it. You told about the guys too tall. That's what the problem is.
See if it just test that.
Thank you.
Good.
It
Thank
just
you.
throw me a... First of all, my conversation was, well, it doesn't matter anymore. I want to welcome back our township manager and all those personnel, the personnel situation which has been rectified. And because I had we have another problem though. People have all these rumors going on out there, and I'm not going to dredge up any of those things. But there is one particular issue now that I have to really speak on, is politics is a very bad, how can I say, a woman who is well, anyway, she is not one that you should really put over family. When a family member lies to another family member that there's nothing going on in the township, and that person relies on a brother's point of view, it doesn't work well. So family first, politics second. Now, that's all I have to say, and I want to say thank you very much. One more thing. We need to have Route 13 repainted. I'm with the fire department, and we've seen a lot of people scurrying off the road because it's just not properly marked. I mean, it's old. It needs to be repainted. Those little barriers, the shiny things, need to be replaced. I don't care if you repave the darn thing, just paint the darn thing. So we need to talk to PennDOT and if we can put the squeeze on PennDOT, get that done. That would be a priority, because we've seen too many people, you know, that you can't see. You've been on 13, and man, we pull people out of the ditch because they can't even see the road. So I'd like to have that put on the front burner.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah, we can pass it on to PennDOT. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Grieta, thank
Yes.
you. Sandra Gartner.
Good evening, Chairman Harvey and fellow board members. My name is Sandra Gartner, and I live at 9210 Wheat Sheaf Road. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about the wheat sheaf problem. Description, if you're not familiar with Wheat Sheaf Road, as I am, who lives on it. This is the road that runs perpendicular to Penn Valley and 13. Darby's is on the 13 corner, and so the problem, and there's two entrances to Falls Township Community Park. There's the basketball entrance, also used for the dog park, and then there's the big pavilion entrance. So I actually live it's exactly 2 houses from the pavilion entrance. Since the bridge has been out, there's been more traffic as expected. However, we have dump trucks of all sizes, tow trucks, Mack trucks, speeding, all times of day and night. I'm afraid to back out of my driveway. And my neighbors are also very concerned. I know one of my neighbors sent an email a few months back. So, you know, and this is the kind of place where it's constant foot traffic, bikes, strollers, kids with their fishing poles. we have one speed limit sign. The speed limit is 25 miles per hour. It sits about 40 feet from the Penn Valley side. So if I'm going up Penn Valley and I make a right on the Wheat Chief, it's actually unnoticeable because I'm still completing my turn
Right.
before I even look up to see the sign. And then we also have one other sign in front of Darby's that says no trucks, with a sign of a dump truck, except local deliveries. So I have suggestions. I also have a request. My request is, and I don't know if this is possible, if I'm even allowed to make a request, but I've been giving this a lot of thought all summer. As you can imagine, I'm thinking about this constantly because we don't even have a sidewalk that separates. So my front door is 20 feet from where all of these Mack trucks are speeding. So this is something that my husband and I and my neighbors have been thinking about. What about a speedometer, just like on South Olds Boulevard in front of Pennsbury High School? It simply just portrays the speed limit, and it makes the driver accountable for his or her own speed because it shows the comparison of what it's supposed to be to what you're doing. So that would be my request. Other suggestions I thought of could be a police presence, one of these traffic delineators, like those tubes that kind of pop up. Speed bumps. I don't want a speed bump out in front of my house. I don't want to have to go over a speed bump every time. But that's it.
All right, well, thank you. Well, I want to ask Mr. Jones, do you think this is connected to the project they're doing there? Is it too early for that?
I think it's too early for that, Mr. Chairman. I think it would be connected to, as the lady said, the bridge being
just the
down
bridge being out,
and
yeah.
rerouted traffic.
Yeah. So first off, thank you. Obviously, we're sorry you're having to deal with that. Lieutenant Whitney, I can see him nodding his head. He's already. Yes. Mr. Dents is also taking down notes. He's part of the Neighborhood Traffic Advisory Committee. He's the board representative, so he meets with them regularly, and they handle this problem or problems like this. As you can imagine, it's the most common complaint we get from all over the township. Every
Speeding.
part is speeding, and people are blowing stop signs and things like that. So we do our best. The police do their best. Definitely, we can pay a lot of attention to it.
Okay.
I also want to thank you because I usually make notes of things I want to talk about, and I neglected to bring up and I'll say it now. So there has been a lot of concern about the bridge at Mill Creek and whether or not when it's going to be finished. What I was told is it is now scheduled to be done in early December. Yeah, this year, early December. It was supposed to be done by now. The problem, from what I hear, was that there's some utilities. This was found out. State Senator Sinicero's office found this out for us. That there were some problems with utilities underneath there, and so with the summer, they did not want to shut off all the electricity to that section of the township so that they could work for a couple days on this. They didn't know how long it would be down, and obviously they're waiting for cooler weather when they're not going to have to worry as much about that.
Sure.
So I think that was been the delay because nothing seems to have been done down there for a long time.
Yeah.
That seems to be, hopefully, that solution will happen pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and then we won't have as much of the traffic. But in the meantime,
Yeah, I hope something that will be done in the
Yes,
meantime.
absolutely.
My husband and I have been there for 5 years now, and in the summer it just reached its worst, and it hasn't even changed since the school year started again. So thank you very much. And just one more final thing on a different note, I would like to thank all of you for the way that you voted at the April 30th meeting at Pennsbury High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Edgar Lutuma.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Edgar Lituma. I live in 220 Doran Court, Fairless Hills, and I'm close to 33 years in this area, in Falls. I always come, I know many months I didn't come to express about the fields we have to play soccer. I started reffing last weekend, and I was this past weekend too. That fields are terrible. We have to do something. Because the last field in the corner, they play the big kids, U17. One kid was injured his ankle because there's so many holes. It's so bad. Now, I know you have one. I was one time helping with the park and recreation. You have one employee who, what he does, he don't supposed to support you tell you what happened, what is going on with the fields. I know we have 12 fields in Falls. That is one time you say. What is his job? Because he's supposed to be supposed to go around the fields and look how they look. Now, another problem, it's been 2-3 years I keep saying about this. The Falls Soccer Club, I told you, we can take care of the fields. At least cut the grass, because these guys go over there, cut the grass. Like Wednesday, and the games are Saturday, on Sunday. The grass is long already for the little kids.
Right.
We have 500-600 kids playing there, since 3 years old until 18 years old. I told you, I invite you one afternoon, go and see how many kids are practicing. You know, because your son used to play there. We have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's keep going this for so long. I told you, I ref all over this area. I told you, Warminster, when it was the old base, they have new fields.
Mm-hmm.
That fields are fantastic, and they are not even 10 years old. But all over, everybody can play, the other coaches come, the soccer fields and Falls, they are bad. And when we did once, I remember we spent $365,000. We put sod in 2 fields.
Right.
What happened? Go see now. It's worse than before. Because the 2 summers in the row after we put the sod was very hot. We need sprinklers. We need water to do that. And we have, like the parents say, we have water in the lake, we have water all over. We didn't do that. And now we spend that much money, and the fields, they are worse than before. I see, you invite one of you members, somebody, talk to John, the president of Falls Soccer Club.
Right.
Go and say what we can do. Now, we want to cut, but you guys say, no, we don't can do that because it's a community park. We understand that. But if we want to take care, we want to help you to take care of the fields a little bit. The club, we have money. The club have money there. I don't have any more kids playing because all my kids are growing up. Mm-hmm. But I used to coach over there. I started the soccer club in 1998. But please, if we can do something, go check. I know one more kids get injured. I'm afraid to go ref there because, you know, I'm getting old, first of all. And it's very bad. See if you can do something.
Sure.
I don't know, another thing to say, because the guys who do the work, everything, they are union. And because they are union, they don't let us to do the club. I don't understand that. It was a rumor there because it's union and they don't let anybody come and do it. I don't know that.
Yeah, I'm not sure of that. Yeah. But we can definitely have.
Please,
yeah.
if you can help do that. Now the 2 fields we did sad, we don't use them. We didn't use the past 2 weekends. I don't know because they are bad. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to start using this weekend. But if you can help us, I told us a lot of parents, we pay taxes, we want to take care of this not for me, it's for the kids.
Right.
They have so many kids playing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lutuma. Appreciate it. Mr. Gray, can we make sure, can we have Mr. Andrews meet up with Mr. Murphy and Mr. Watkins if he's still, if he's still chair of the fall soccer? Because I think it is the biggest sports league we have. I mean, obviously baseball is divided between 3 different ones, but I think it is the biggest single sports league we have. So let's take a look at it, take a look at the fields. In terms of the public works employees who are based in Park and Rec, obviously their job is covering all the parks. They're not necessarily experts in field maintenance, but they are certainly we can ask them to do that kind of thing and see if they feel comfortable with that. And I think opening up a line of communication so that we can work a little bit more closely with them. Let's try and get that something. And it is coming up on budget season. Maybe we can start looking at things we can do there in terms of the budget. We have had some conversations. I know there is, the club has approached us about possibly converting one of the fields to an all-weather surface. Our engineer has taken a look at that, just a very preliminary look. Unfortunately, I mean, it's doable, but it's pretty high water table in that area, so you're going to have to elevate and bring in a lot of fill. So that might add some cost that they weren't necessarily anticipating. But I know they've also looked at that all-weather field as a money generator, because you could have more activities there. You could market for different sports. You could have lacrosse. You could have soccer. You could have all kinds of things in those fields, and you could charge people to come there, to pay, not just from Falls, but even Pennsbury or outside groups, and you might be able to make money on that. Other communities have that. Lou Wakefield has it. So we have had that discussion. It was very preliminary. So, but I appreciate your concern. I thank you for raising it to us. Okay. Thank you. Tom Bennett.
evening. Tom Bennett, Falls Township resident.
And the mic, sorry.
And former-
I think the bigger one, sorry.
And former employee. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I guess all of you seen the social media thing going on today? Everybody read that? Okay. So anyway, somewhere in there, Mr. Harvey, you said that Tom resigned because he's been wanting to move to South Carolina for a while. And you're right, someday I do want to move to South Carolina, in a couple of years. Now, you want to know the truth. Tom Bennett resigned because he was being forced to sign a certificate of occupancy for a home that had substantial violations. And all you guys are aware of this. Right? You're all aware of this. Now, I wouldn't sign my name on a house that had dangerous items wrong with it and it failed inspections. But I was being forced to do that. So I said I'm not doing that because I don't want to put nobody's life in danger. Okay? So I didn't sign that, so I got suspended without pay for 2.5 days. Mr. Gray suspended me at the orders of Miss Gallagher. Okay? I was in that room with the two of them trying to force me to sign a piece of paper that would endanger a residents' lives. And none of you guys cared.
Nonsense.
No, it's not
It
nonsense.
is nonsense, Tom. That's
It's
not
not
what they
nonsense.
told you to do.
I have the
Lauren,
records.
what went on that
I
day?
have the suspension letter. I have everything.
Go ahead, Lauren, you want to address that?
Well, we can address it simply. Mr. Bennett was wrong on the law, and we told him, we showed him where he was wrong on the law. We showed him on the areas where he could be right and he could withhold a UNO. But Mr. Bennett was wrong on the law, and we tried to convince him, or tried to show him, and he just wouldn't agree. He kept saying, no, I refuse to do this, I refuse to do that. And the property owner was entitled to have some of those permits signed and that use and occupancy permit signed, and Mr. Bennett just refused to do it.
Okay. Do I get my
Is that
turn now? That's not true.
What's not
There
true
were
about it?
substantial violations on this property. A substantial violation is a violation that could jeopardize somebody's life or health or safety. Okay? There's a swimming pool with no gate, no fence. I have pictures of this. There's no CO detector in a house. There were numerous substantial electrical problems.
And at one point,
So
Mr.
I'm
Bennett, you
qualified-
actually even
I'm
said that
qualified.
you actually said that a crumbled sidewalk out front counted as a
said
substantial
that-
violation.
no.
Not initially.
No.
Initially, you
They-
wanted to deny the use and occupancy permit for that
You
also.
weren't there for
All
the
right,
conversation.
let's just allow one thing
The
at a time.
conversation was that all the time, we let sidewalks go, because how do you patch a sidewalk with concrete in the winter? You can't. We do not keep people out of their homes. We let people move in their homes. We try and help them to move into their homes.
Except this time?
No, not except this time. If them people would have came to me, they would have been in the house 100% legally in no time at all. Instead, you went to the attorney.
I didn't go to attorney about you. Mr. Clark, did we not ask several times what the life safety violations were that could be repaired?
Yes.
And I explained them.
To who?
No CO detector in a house, that's not a life safety violation? It's not?
I didn't say that. You didn't explain
You're
anything to
shaking
me.
your head no.
I'm explaining no, you didn't explain anything to me. I don't know what you explained to them.
I'm telling you, I explained them all to them. No ground fault receptacles, you're an electrician.
You were wrong on the law, because the law had been changed a few years ago, and you weren't even really aware
I
of
should
it.
issue a certificate of access,
And you
which I did.
really weren't even aware that the law had been changed.
That's right.
Right.
When it came to my
You
attention,
were the chief code enforcement officer, and you were not aware that the law had been changed regarding use and occupancy certificates. So
Okay.
we had to explain that to you. And
All right,
once we
you're
did,
still wrong.
and no, we're not. We weren't.
We're wrong.
We weren't.
yes, you were wrong.
Okay.
But anyway, so just so you all know that I'm not going nowhere. I didn't plan on leaving. I left because I was being forced to do things that I should never have been forced to do. Okay? I'm certified in the state as a building official. I'm certified as an inspector in every category: electric, plumbing, mechanical, building. The attorney's not certified in any of them things,
Except the law.
except the law. Okay?
We agree there.
I agree there, but I won't agree that's interpreted properly. If I showed you the definition of substantial violation and a de minimis violation, then you would understand it too. You guys just didn't want to address the issue. And you know what? To this day, that fence is still in violation. I walk by that house every day with my dog. The fence is allowed to be 2 inches off the ground for a swimming pool enclosure. It's about 6.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
Tom, real quick, and just to kind of go back a little bit, when you did say that none of us cared, I spoke to you all during that situation. I spoke to you when I got your letter of resignation. I spoke to you after that. So I don't think it's fair. I did talk to you. I was siding with you on some of the stuff. I did understand where you're coming from and did have concerns the same.
You called me and said, I'm only one of 5.
I did. I'm still one of 5.
Well, that's what you said.
But I expressed concern with you, right?
Okay, you did express
That I
concern.
didn't care.
But, no, I didn't say you didn't care. What I'm saying is nobody did anything.
Okay.
But then Mr. Harvey says that I left because I was moving to South Carolina. That's not true. I left because I was forced out. And you all know it. Everyone who's up there knows it.
It was easier than firing you. Did us a favor. I wouldn't have let you have 2 days off. I would have fired you. That was my suggestion.
That sounds good. That would be
Right.
good for me.
James Burke?
That's fine.
James Burke?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's James Burke. I live in Pennsbury Height, Yardley Farms, and I'm here to talk about what's been a long-term problem, not just in Falls Township, but Bucks County, Montgomery County, and that's unreliable PICO service. Over 23 days, my neighbors and I lost power 3 times. June 30th for 4 hours, July 15th for 12 hours, and July 22nd for 27 hours. It's all storm-related. PICO says, acts of God, whatever. But it has to do, they're not doing adequate tree trimming. They cut branches, but it's not enough. My development was built in the 1950s, and a lot of the stuff there is still from the 1950s. And I want to give credit to the PICO workers, the linemen. They have to come and fix this stuff. And that's all they're allowed to do. They're not allowed to put anything new in. All they can do is, whatever, twine and bubble gum to put everything back together again. They do a fine job. It's the PICO management who's neglecting things, refuses to invest in new things. And I found online while I was looking at Falls Township and complaints, 5 years ago, October 9th, 2014, PICO was here with all their big boards and slides and all the wonderful things they're going to do to improve electric service. It's now 5 years later. It's not only no progress, it's regression, 5 years of regression of more unreliable PICO power grid than ever. And I also want to bring up a special dangerous situation at 106 Winding Way. Utility pole in the backyard is slowly falling over. Pole is owned by Verizon, and 3 months ago, Verizon recognized the problem, put a new pole in. But Verizon and nobody can get PICO to move their power lines to the new pole. The electric line is stretched to its limit. It's attached to a metal pole at 106, which is slowly going over. What's it going to take? The electric line has to snap. Somebody has to get electrocuted. A fire has to start before PICO will do anything. I was in here 2 weeks ago when I paid my taxes. I made a formal complaint to Falls Township, and unfortunately the clerk told me that basically there's nothing the township can do. She'll take my complaint. And it's like, okay, this is a ridiculous situation. And it's constant. Nobody can seem to do anything. I went to a meeting in July with State Senator Santaserio, and he feels there's nothing that can be done on the state level. It's a local issue. Whether it's a township, the townships have to get together, the county has to get together. Something's got to be done here. It's like we're living in 1919 with electric service rather than 2019. Mm-hmm. And everybody, the township, everybody, we're not just paying for the use of electricity, we're paying for a reliable electric grid, and we're not getting it, and we haven't been getting it, and we're not going to get it in the future unless somebody does something. Thank you.
No, thank you for bringing attention. I appreciate that. Mr. Gracie, you're writing that down so we can call Mr. Durant at some point and make sure he's aware of it.
106 Winding Way?
106 Winding Way, yes.
Right.
Particularly if you look from Louise, you can see the line that's stretched. One of the neighbors, they already came out, and they just put a splice in his line to take the stretch away, rather than solve the problem. This is ridiculous.
You see that all the time in utility too, that you'll see, I was on a job today and you had, PICO had moved and there was poles right next to him, Verizon hasn't moved, and it's been like that for months from what I'm being told. And you see it more times than you could count, and it's a shame.
One thing that's frustrating here is there's a Public Utility Commission, but
Yeah.
they're in Harrisburg. They're not here locally. But it seems that nobody has the authority or the power to not to make a joke there, the power to do anything with PICO.
Right,
I mean, it's ridiculous. Anybody with any common sense can see the problem. Why is there nobody in the management? Again, I want to give credit to all the PICO workers. It's the management that is just obstinate and doesn't want to do anything until it's an emergency.
How many, I'm not sure if you know this answer or not. Do you know how many houses go out when you go out? Any idea?
Unfortunately, I'm at the end of the line on the circuit, and it was Mark, part of Louise, Paul, part of Hedgerow. I'll say 40 houses.
Oh, okay.
And then
More than I thought.
sometimes we have the situation, sometimes the other side of Hedgerow,
Right.
they'll go out
Right.
because their circuit goes out.
Yeah.
And it's just, I looked at, after Hurricane Sandy, they had a big, I tried understanding it, sorry, I have a degree in electrical engineering. The way they set up these developments and stuff, I have no clue.
Yeah, I know that when they did come, they did do a pretty decent amount of work, especially in the Thornridge area, for example. There were always lines going down, and over even toward Fallsington. I know Mr. Boraski always has a lot of problems, or had a lot of problems anyway. I know they did actually do a fair amount of work several years ago when they had the presentation. I know they usually base it on how many customers are going out, and they obviously work from the biggest down to the smallest.
Oh, yeah, that's always the policy. Yeah, I have no problem with the policy.
So, but yeah, we'll definitely reach out. We have a contact who's pretty responsive usually to what we need, and so we'll definitely see if we can get somebody out to take a look at what's going on there.
Thank you very
Thank you. Okay, those are the names on the sheet. Anybody else wish to speak? See no hands. All right, let's move to item number 2, certificate of appropriateness for 133 Yardley Avenue. Mr. Gray, sorry.
That's it. Yes, this is a certificate of appropriateness, 133 Yardley Avenue. The intended work includes a rear addition, 21 feet by 16 feet. This has been reviewed and approved by the Harbor Board. Owner of the property is Aaron Friel and David Potter. Board is asked to consider this certificate of appropriateness.
Okay. Any comments or questions regarding the application?
None.
No.
No? Okay. Is there any public comment needed? Don't imagine so. Okay. All right, then, is there a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for 133 Yardley Avenue for the addition?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right. Item 2 is a certificate of appropriateness for 94 Main Street. Mr. Gray?
Yes, the intended work at this location includes replacing the roof. This has been reviewed and approved by the Harbor Board. The owner of the property is Mary Ann Drago. The board is asked to consider this certificate of appropriateness.
Yeah, it was Mary Ann Drago's sister. I just didn't know if I needed to bring anything to the meeting or.
No,
got
we have the whole
everything?
application, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, are there any comments or questions?
No comments or
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve 94 Main Street, replace the roof?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Good luck. Item 4, Marsville Commons final major subdivision, West Trenton Avenue and Pine Grove Road. This is the location of the new Wawa and Rite Aid. Mr. Gray?
Yes, the proposed improvements consist of subdividing Marsville Commons into 3 separate lots. Tonight, representing the applicant is Mr. Frank Dillon.
Frank Dillon here. I'm Eric Bretz of Bowler Engineering and Bill Dion representing the developer. The board explains what we want to do. We've read the resolution prepared by your solicitor, and that's acceptable to us. We're here to answer any questions you might have.
So essentially you are, I mean, it's just gone a couple times, it's been before us for different things. So you're essentially creating 3 separate lots. One's going to have the Wawa, one's going to have the bulk of the property and the Rite Aid, and there's a 3rd lot being created further, I guess, south on Pine Grove, Route 13, which has yet been undeveloped. Is that
Correct. There's no prospective user yet. We're still marketing that, trying to
Okay.
make that happen.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions from board members regarding this?
Yeah, which one's lot 3? This one to the
Small one on the
small one on the left, yeah.
Yeah, lot 3 is right here.
Got it, okay.
Kind of extends out to here. So you have the Wawa lot's 2.6 acres.
Oh, got it, yeah.
The middle lot, the Rite Aid lot's 3.2, and the third lot, lot 3, is 3 acres even.
Do we know what's going into that third lot?
We don't.
Figured I'd try.
We're trying.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. There's a lot of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just reading the waiver requests.
Yeah.
Most of those were previously granted.
I thought so,
We
yeah.
had to reapply.
Yeah, and it doesn't, one of them's for a sidewalk. It doesn't make sense to have a sidewalk going down Pine Grove towards, 13, if you would.
And that was previously granted also.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Other comments or questions? No. Okay. Mr. Jones, anything from you?
Nothing, sir.
Okay. All right. So this would be Resolution 1919. Okay. Again, a pretty straightforward presentation. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 1919, granting final major subdivision for West Trenton Avenue and Pine Grove Road?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. A couple of presentations from the police department. Mr. Gray, do you want to introduce these?
Yes, thank you. Recently, one of our police vehicles was involved in a traffic crash on August 13th and was subsequently determined to be totaled by the insurance carrier. A replacement vehicle is available from Fred Beans Ford of Doylestown for a cost of $34,000. Additionally, the cost of upfitting the vehicle is an additional $4,925 from Tryon's Emergency Vehicle Upfitting. Total cost for the township for this vehicle replacement is $38,925. There is a gap of just under $14,000 that will not be covered by the insurance carrier, but the police department will move some things around to make up for the shortfall in the budget. The board is asked to consider the purchase of this vehicle. In addition, Lieutenant Nelson Whitney is here for any questions you may have.
Okay. Lieutenant?
Thank you. That's all obviously correct. In addition to that, the court found the defendant guilty last week of all the charges we filed and imposed a restitution order to pay for the gap. So if we actually collect that money at some point, we'll be reimbursed for that gap cost.
Great. That's great. And this, if I'm not mistaken, this was the accident that involved you.
That's correct.
All right. And you're doing okay?
Yeah, I was lucky. The vehicle did its job and protected me. I just had a headache that day, and I was fine. I was back the next morning.
You really were lucky.
Yeah.
You were lucky.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
Yes, I was. Thank you.
And I know there was some comments on Facebook about the way you were parked, but the chief did a good job of clearing that up, that, there was proper protocol and you were parked the way you were supposed to be parked, and we did everything right from a police department standpoint.
Yes, thank you. In fact, I was talking to Teresa about that before the meeting. I think what some of the comments taught me is we need to do a better job educating the public. I showed her a video of an officer that didn't use an offset, that was parked straight behind a vehicle on a traffic stop on the shoulder. And when that officer was struck, he was struck, the car he pulled over was struck. So when we offset like that, it minimally impedes traffic. It allows citizens an opportunity to either slow down and pass safely or change lanes. And it protects not only me, but the car I pulled over. In my case, when my vehicle was hit, it didn't strike the citizen that I pulled over, so she had no damage to her vehicle and she was uninjured.
Okay.
Well done.
All right. Well, obviously, glad it ended the way it did. I mean, if obviously, cars are replaceable.
So how old was the car?
I was a year old.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was pretty new.
Sadly.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
It was a great car.
Yeah,
I
right.
miss it.
So, Pete, is it, like 14K seems like a lot for our gap. Would we not have better insurance for these types of things going forward, or?
Oh, I think they take into consideration the wear and tear on the vehicle, the mileage, and a couple other considerations. So the insurance company came up with that value. That's not by us.
Yeah. Yeah, even with the add-ons, it's, did you know how many miles it had on it in a year, roughly?
I'm going to say it had about 19,000 miles on it.
19,000?
Something like that.
Your insurance company, I guess that's the way it is, right?
Are we able to use the equipment out of that car to outfit any other cars or reuse any of it? Because their uplifting charges are in on this.
Yes, the insurance company pays to decommission the vehicle. So the equipment that was able to be salvaged and removed can be used either in the new vehicle that replaces it or in other vehicles in the fleet. So we will be able to reuse some of that
Okay.
equipment.
All right.
Okay. Other comments or questions?
No.
For Lieutenant Whitney? Any public comment? See no hands. All right, so then we're looking to approve the purchase of the vehicle from Fred Beans Ford, $34,000, in addition to the $49,25 upfitting. So we're looking for $38,925 for the complete new vehicle, which hopefully we can, also get reimbursed from insurance for that. As I was saying, I know that all too well over the past couple of weeks, dealing with that kind of situation. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Bransky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next, we have the purchase of ballistic vests for the police department.
The ballistic vests used by the police department have a 5-year warranty and expire after 5 years of service. 42 officers have ballistic vests which expire in November of 2019. Replacement vests are available from Atlantic Uniform Company for $1,072 for each vest. Atlantic Uniform Company is on the Pennsylvania state contract, and we have purchased ballistic vests for our SWAT team from them in the past. Total cost for 42 vests is $51,072. This has been allocated in the 2019 budget for $46,000. Similarly to the last purchase, there is a gap of $5,072, and the police department will forego several purchases to make up the difference. Again, Lieutenant Whitney's here for any questions you may have.
Comments or questions for Lieutenant Whitney?
No, we need vests.
Yeah, what do you do with the old ones?
There are times we use the old ones for interns and people on ride-alongs, so we'll permit them to wear a vest. There's really not too much we can do with them.
Right.
We
That's what I
collect them
thought.
so our officers wear the new ones, but there's not too much we
Yeah,
can do.
you don't donate them somewhere or, yeah.
They're custom fit usually, aren't they?
They're fitted for each officer, but they, wearing them every day, they get kind of messy after 5 years.
Yeah, I imagine
They
so.
need to be
So if I do a
replaced.
ride-along with you, I'm going to get an expired vest?
Yes.
Well,
If it fits.
yes. They don't really lose their ballistic integrity immediately after the 5-year mark, but the warranty ends.
Right.
So, just a standard capital expense that we budget for every 5 years.
Right. Any other comments or questions?
This was in our budget for this year, right?
Yeah.
Budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess for some people, they wonder, how can a vest expire? I mean, what does that mean? How does a bulletproof, a ballistic vest expire? What exactly goes into that, making it not as reliable, I guess?
Some of the things the manufacturers point out is that the vest, it gets wet with sweat. It can get wet when it's exposed to the elements in snow or rain, and increased or repeated exposure to water can get into the ballistic fibers of the vest and decrease its ballistic integrity. They also absorb odors over time. The carriers get kind of beat up and frayed. So it's really wear and tear more than anything else over the 5 years that caused the manufacturer to put that end date on the usefulness of the vest.
Okay. All right. I think that's something that people would like to hear, just have that kind of thought that you don't think about. And obviously the vests, if you haven't noticed, have changed. They aren't like the big sort of vests that almost look like the kind of things umpires would wear in a baseball game. They are a little bit more tailored, and obviously technology has improved, so they don't have to be as thick. I do see one hand for public comments. Is there a motion to open public comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Waters?
Well, this is an easy question.
You have to, in the microphone, sir. In the microphone.
Keep forgetting this. Please just. Vests, we consider vests just vests. But nowadays we have people who are getting vests that shouldn't have vests. They're they're putting bulletproof vests on and creating dangerous situations with their own weapons. Is there a decommissioning process for any vests we do not use?
You may have been out when he came. Well, you can go ahead and answer that.
I didn't hear that.
You may have been outside. I think you came in a little late.
Okay, you got them.
So that they're not worn by the officers.
And where do they go?
They're stored in
So you have
police
a
department.
pile of these things.
We do, yeah, and eventually they're discarded.
How?
That I actually don't know.
Okay. we have to make sure that they're just.
Yeah, we don't want them, right, I understand, sure.
Because again, you understand the concern of
Sure.
having, well, you especially having guys running around with your old vests on.
Yeah, we certainly don't allow them to fall into the hands of the
Oh,
public.
that's what I wanted to hear. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, okay.
I can guarantee that.
Mr. Burke, you have a question too?
Yeah, I just have a question. Since it's every 5 years, does this technology change over 5 years, or is it identical to what it was bought 5 years ago, or have there been changes in the technology since then that are built into it?
Good question.
Sometimes the technology changes, and instead of purely woven vests, some of them contain laminate materials that make them a little more impervious to water. One of the other things that degrades the vest is exposure to ultraviolet light. So because we work out in the sun and the elements, that can affect its ballistic integrity.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other public comment? Motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so we're looking for the expenditure of $51,072 for 42 vests for the Falls Township Police Department. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Bransky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, next, consider purchase of a speed sign for the police department. Just talked about this a little bit earlier with the problems on Wheatsheaf Lane. Mr. Gray?
Yes, in a memo from Chief Wilcox, he is asking for consideration to purchase a speed sign from Traffic Logics for $11,038. This sign is designed to advise motorists their speed and display a slow down notification for those exceeding the speed limit. Unlike the speed sign that is currently in use, this device can also be utilized to notify motorists of detours and road closures with customized messages. The board is asked to consider this. Also, Chief Wilcox is here for any questions you may have.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, several months ago, together with a member of the garage, one of the most important things we do is traffic work. So I looked at our old speed device that we had there. It's been sitting there for a long time, and I got a hold of Leon from the garage. And we started an attempt to probably refurbish it to save the township some money. We were later to find out that it was not cost-effective at all. We purchased we have two speed signs, or traffic trailers, whatever you want to call them. We purchased one in 2010 and one in 1996. The oldest one is 1996. It hasn't been in use for a long time. So what I did was, after we realized that it just doesn't work, and I realized that we didn't budget for it this year, but I was traveling through Lower Makefield, and I happened to see their speed device. So I called Chief Caluzzi, and I got the particulars on it, and I took Brian McShane down. Brian McShane, Officer McShane, as we know, is our ACO, but he sets it up, and he knows quite a bit about this, and he works with him every day. So I took him down, we took pictures of it, and then we got a hold of former Captain Roach from Lower Makefield Township. He's the expert in that with that, and we talked about it, and they hooked us up with the salesman. And then Officer McShane, he negotiated. He negotiated with this gentleman, and Mr. Gray and I talked about it, and Mr. Gray told me a threshold that I had to get down to, and Officer McShane was able to negotiate this down to where we were, and I also, with the help of Mr. Gray, we looked into the budget, and we found areas where we could secure monies in order to purchase this. I'm asking the board if you would consider this. It's a great piece of machinery. It has all the bells and whistles that we don't have right now. It has the solar panels. It has a device on it where we can put messages out to people that we can't do now, and it's a state-of-the-art one. I'm asking the board if would you consider this.
Okay.
Is it a trailer like the one we have now?
It's, Jeff, you call it either a traffic trailer or traffic device.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Will we
the same
tow
thing.
it, like similar to what we have?
Thing.
Okay.
It's very portable. It's a little bit bigger than the one we have. The one we have is the smallest one we purchased in 2010 is a no-frills one. But in fact, inspecting it today, the front plastic is starting to come loose, and I have to have somebody repair the plastic around there so the moisture doesn't get up inside the instrument.
Will we have two of them now?
Well,
The other one still being staying use?
We have two right now, but the one is inoperable.
I'm
And
sorry,
we're gonna put that out on a website where we can sell it to somebody who may want to put the money into it. But it's not cost effective to fix that at all.
So yes, we will have two after we buy this one.
Yeah, I thought we had one that I know they're in high demand. I mean, I get emails all the time, like, can you put it on my street, and can I have it on my street?
The one we have it's very portable and very light, but it doesn't have all the capabilities that this new one has.
Cool.
How many of the little portable ones do we have that are on the poles?
To the best of my knowledge, just one.
Speed spike?
That's what that woman was looking for.
Right, it's by
I think they call it a speed spy.
Yeah, by the high school. Yes.
Now, the speed spy is the one that does the counting of the traffic, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we have a portable
I'm
sign.
not an expert, as you can see in this field. This is not my forte. But I learned a lot about these speed machines by speaking with the chief and Tommy Roach and working with Leon and, of course, with Brian.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Chief.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Is there any public comment? See no hands? All right, so we're looking at the expenditure of $11,038 for the traffic logics speed sign. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Gentlemen, thank you for your attention to these matters tonight, and if I may, I'm aware of a local news outlet that published an article that attempts to call into question your integrity and your actions as township supervisors. As you may know, I served as a detective for our department for a long time, and I can tell you that a true whistleblower reports their concerns to law enforcement to seek justice, and not a local news outlet to try to smear people they're unhappy with. So I know that you guys work really hard, and I can see that you work hard, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for the hard work you do for our community, and to express that I'm sure your families and our citizens know and can be proud of the fact that you work hard with integrity for the Township of Falls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Okay, item 8 is consider authorization for advertisement for ordinance amending Chapter 69, the Planning Commission, to amend commission establishment membership. Ms. Gallagher, I believe you put this together. I know Mr. Boraski has kind of been a big proponent of this.
I did, Mr. Harvey. The ordinance that's in front of you quite simply reduces the members of the Planning Commission from 7 to 5. The municipality's planning code allows the township to reduce the size of the Planning Commission to the lowest of 3. But the mechanism by that happening is that when members come up for reappointment, their vacancies are simply not filled until the reduction occurs to 5.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You want to?
I appreciate you guys' help with this. When I was on the planning commission, we had a pretty solid board. And when I got elected as supervisor, had a replacement. That didn't work out. Someone else leaves, and really, I stayed the liaison to that board since I got on this board, and it's been a struggle to keep it at 7, and sometimes, to even get a quorum together to have a meeting. So this will make it easier. They have a pretty strong group of 5 guys now that are very dedicated, very great, volunteers. So I'm hopeful now it'll be easier to keep the meetings going, and hopefully them guys stay. And we have one member there, just to, shout out Brian Binney, but, he's been great for, how many years? 16?
Well, more than that. He was on with me. I was 18 years ago.
Guy hasn't missed a thing, so, and he's a good leader, and hopefully them guys follow, and, we keep that 5-person board now going strong, so, thank you.
Okay. This is just motion to advertise this as an ordinance. It has to be advertised and has to be looked at again in a future meeting. But I think it is something that makes sense. Any comments or questions?
No. Nope.
No? All right. Is there a motion to authorize advertisement of this change to Chapter 69?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So we're looking now at notice of intent to award the bid for the 2019 road improvement program. Mr. Gray.
JEA has reviewed the bids submitted to Falls Township that were publicly opened on September 12th for the 2019 road improvement program. 3 bids were received. They are as follows. General Asphalt Paving Company, base bid $1,617,389.85. Second bid, James D. Morrissey, $1,782,438.90. And third bid, Miko Constructors, Inc., $2,642,980. Based on the bid evaluation, General Asphalt Paving Company is the lowest responsive bidder for the 2019 road improvement program. It is recommended that the board authorize the Township Engineer's Office to issue a notice of intent to award to General Asphalt Paving for the base bid cost of $1,617,389.85.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray or for Mr. Jones?
No question.
I'll state the obvious. Miko was way out, way out.
Yeah, we usually
$1 million.
we have similar results from year to year. Usually General Asphalt and Morrissey are close, and there's always an outlier who's high. And I think it's just their, unfamiliarity with the township and the different roads that we've been reconstructing.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
This came under budget, right?
Yes, sir, it did.
By
By a fairly significant amount, over $100,000.
excellent.
No questions.
Okay. Do we know, out of curiosity, I don't remember ever seeing Miko Constructors put a bid in for anything else?
It's the first time I've seen it since I've been working in the township, since 2008.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, General Asphalt and Morrissey have done basically all the roads as far as, mostly General Asphalt, as long as I've been here. So it's been one of the two of them. So, all right, any public comment? One hand, motion to open public comment.
Moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Burke?
Not on this specific contract, just a general question, and how's the township decide each year which roads are going to be repaired?
The roads is a multi-phase part. First off, we look at finances, what we can afford to do. We get projections. Mr. Gray works with the finance director in terms of seeing how much money we're going to have available, projecting into next year. Works with the township engineer to basically how much would it cost to reconstruct a road, per mile. And also Public Works is involved. They're the ones who are literally on the road.
Okay.
At this point, of course, we've done most of the roads in the township, so the ones that are left is just a matter of deciding which ones need to be done sooner than others.
By any chance does this include Simons and Gilbert in Hedgerow Woods?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Simons and Gilbert are scheduled for construction early next spring.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Because the other one that's there is Elbow Lane, which is half Falls Township and half
Right.
Lower Makefield, and
Right.
that one's in really bad shape also.
Yeah. So we're only doing our half on that one.
Okay, because I know one time in the past, Lower Makefield and Falls did them at separate times. There's no way to coordinate between the township.
Yeah, we would definitely. We've talked about doing that with some of the roads where we border with them. It's but I was having a little fun. But yeah, it's we've talked about doing that and taking a look, and we have projected out a couple of years most of the roads that are left to be done. Occasionally, one road gets a little worse than we thought it would, so it might move. If the budget changes, we realize we can do more roads than we thought, or maybe fewer roads than we thought, and so things might change that way. But it's multiple people involved deciding.
Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so is there a motion to issue a notice of intent to award to General Asphalt Paving for the 2019 road program, $1,617,389.85?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Item 10, consider bids for the sale of township surplus vehicles. Mr. Gray?
16 vehicles have been auctioned on Municipid. Public Works Director Jason Lawson would ask the board to consider approval to accept these bids. All titles would be transferred at John's Auto Tags before vehicles will be released to the buyer. Of the 16 vehicles, 10 of the vehicles are Ford Crown Victorias. There are 2 Ford Expeditions, 1 Ford Taurus, 2 Chevy Impalas, and 1 Ford F-250. Total received for all 16 vehicles is $7,497. Board is asked to consider the auction vehicles at this time.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the sale of these 16 vehicles?
None. None.
Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Just one question. I have a family member that's on the list that bid on one of the vehicles. Should I abstain from the?
They're purchasing a vehicle
Yeah,
from us?
they were a winning bidder.
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
There's no There's no financial benefit to them.
No,
The
no, I
financial
just
benefit
thought
is-
I'd
No, it's a legitimate question, but there's only a conflict of interest if it would be a financial benefit to them. So you do not need to abstain.
All right. Public comment? See no hands. Okay, is there a motion then to, what's the best terminology for this? Accept the bids for the 16 surplus vehicles in the total amount of $7,497.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, number 11, item 11, consider proposals from the Bucks County Consortium regarding the purchase of rock salt for 2019-2020. Mr. Gray.
The Bucks County Consortium salt bid was opened by Doylestown Borough, and the results were forwarded to Falls Township by email. Public Works Director Jason Lawson would recommend the board award the consortium bid for 2019-2020 salt to Morton Salt at $48.50 a ton delivered. As a comparison, last year's amount was $47.92. Since the beginning of this year, we have spent $47,798, and for the year 2018, we spent just over $63,000. The board is asked to consider this quote from Morton Salt.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Gray?
No.
Okay, public comment? See no hands. Okay, is there a motion then to award the consortium bid 2019-2020 salt to Morton Salt at $48.50 a ton delivered?
I'll make the motion. So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, item 12 is consider adopting resolution establishing the 2020 minimum municipal obligation for the police pension plan. Mr. Gray.
Yes, for the police pension plan, the MMO for the year 2020 is $2,835,893. This dollar amount is a budgeting item which will be inserted in next year's budget. And this MMO resolution needs to be adopted before the end of September of each year. The board is asked to consider this MMO for the police pension.
Okay. And as Mr. Gray said, essentially what we have to do is do an actuarial study of how much money we're going to owe for different employees who get pensions here at the township, and we have to state that publicly so that trying to make sure that municipalities don't under budget that funding, because if they do that, then obviously in the future at some point there could be a severe shortfall and you could have some severe financial problems for that municipality. So this first one would be Resolution 19-20.
20.
Correct? For police pension plan, $2,835,893. Is there comments or questions for Mr. Gray?
No.
Any public comment? See no hand. Is there a motion then to approve Resolution 19-20?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Gray?
Yes, the next one would be for the non-uniform pension plan. This is for the administrative staff. The MMO for this particular pension fund is $126,210. Similarly, this also needs to be adopted by resolution by the board.
Okay. So item Resolution 1921, $126,210 minimum municipal obligation for the non-uniform police purchase pension plan. Comments or questions?
No.
No? Okay, public comment? All right, is there a motion to accept or adopt Resolution 19-21?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Finally, there is the last MMO is for the Public Works pension plan. They go through PMRS. Total amount of that particular MMO is $70,159. Board is asked to consider this MMO for Public Works.
Okay, comments or questions? This is Resolution 1922.
Yes.
None.
Hands,
None.
public comment? See none. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 1922?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, item 15, consider authorization for advertisement for audit of the 2019 financial records. Mr. Gray.
Yes, this is just for authorizing advertisement at this time, and this will be to give a notice of intent to appoint a certified or competent public accounting firm to audit the 2019 financial records.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions from board members? Again, just advertising, looking for an auditor for 2019.
I thought we hired
We do have Major Mastro, but this particular notice will relieve the elected auditors and replacing them with the appointed office.
Got it, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did a 3-year deal with them.
Yes, we did last year.
Yeah.
That was it, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
No.
Okay. For township our size, the state Commonwealth of Pennsylvania allows townships to have elected auditors who could have responsibility for auditing. However, in a township our size, with a budget our size, and even all municipalities that have budgets our size or anything close to that, it's just hiring a professional firm it just makes a lot more sense. I'm sure there are lots of communities throughout the Commonwealth that have very, very small budgets where elected auditors may actually, do the job. But, this is pretty standard. You're dealing with in the hundreds of millions of dollars when you're throwing in everything that we do and all the funds we get and the money we have in the bank. So it just makes sense to hire a professional firm. So this is authorization of advertisement. Is there a motion to authorize the advertisement?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, minutes from August 22nd. Are there any comments, questions, corrections?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
No? Is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Oh, abstain. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain, I was on a business trip.
Engineers report. Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. According to the engineers report for the month of August, you'll see that we had 2 new earth disturbance applications submitted, 1 new land development application, 2 cell tower alteration applications, and no floodplain permit applications submitted. As usual, the red text indicates highlights or updates, and I would point out a couple of updates before you ask questions. New Falls Road, St. Joe's is running along smoothly. They still anticipate being finished by the end of the year. All buildings are now either under a final CO for the occupancy or under construction, including the clubhouse. There's still some work to do cleaning up, and that's what they're working at now. Abington Reldon is complete. They finished the amended plan improvements, including the fire marshal's requested driveway and the lighting. The first MLH explorations was for the small building addition, and they just received, or we approved demolition permits being issued. So that project will start in terms of the demolition. And the second MLH explorations that you'll see is going to the board next month, this board next month, for land development approval, consideration of land development approval. That's for the larger greenhouse improvement. McGill Composting is a new land development project submitted that is going before the Planning Commission next week. That's a pretty large, totally indoor composting facility down near the KIPC. So there's not much in terms of land development improvements. It should be pretty straightforward. In terms of the earth disturbance updates, 225 Lincoln Properties is complete. That's where they disturbed inadvertently some wetlands, doing some tree removal, and that's been buttoned up and completed to the satisfaction of DEP in our office. The Peruzzi family LP, that's an earth disturbance that's been on the report for quite some time. They recently withdrew the application. It was for curb improvements and island improvements to the front of their facility. We indicated they needed an HOP to do that work, and so they withdrew the permit.
Mr. Jones, real quick, just for people that aren't not engineers, what is HOP?
Oh, I apologize, Mr. Chairman. A highway occupancy permit from PennDOT, and it takes some time to get that, so I suspect that might be why they decided not to pursue that. And the Gillespie project is a minor building addition, and that has a pre-construction meeting tomorrow. In terms of our ongoing township projects, there's really only 2 to comment on. The 2018 road program, I've talked about this before, it's done. The landscape contractor will be out tomorrow, I've been told, to start redoing all of the grass areas since they've had poor growth, and really a lack of watering, we think, caused it. So they're going to scrape it all back to its bare roots and reseed it and put mulch over it, and we're hoping for better results during the growing season now. And in terms of the 2019 road program, you authorized us to issue the notice of intent. We expect to be under construction, since we know this contractor, by mid-October. And we'll be ready for going out to bid on the following year's scope, which completes the hedgerow wood section late December, early January for a startup as soon as the construction season opens.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Jones?
No.
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 No, thanks.
Okay. Any public comment? See none? Okay, is there a motion to accept the engineer's report for August 2019?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, bill list for tonight, bills in the amount of $1,682,649.59. So roughly 1.7 million. Of that 1.7 million, about 1.2 million is salary and benefits. Well, again, 1.2 out of the 1.7 is salary and benefits. There's another $67,000 that's sort of major things like gasoline, sod installation in the road program, electrical work down the Quaker Penn Park, what's the fuel, street lights, printing the newsletter that went out just not too long ago. And there's also about $67,000 in highway aid, escrow funds, which are not township funds, and the crime prevention fund. The highway aid and crime prevention are state funds, so it's state money, not township money. So you about almost 1.4 of the 1.7 is just about 7 or 8 things, and everything else is obviously, it's a pretty long, pretty hefty bill list as always, but there's a lot of small bills for all kinds of things, repair for cars, et cetera. So, comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the bills?
No.
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 Okay, is there a motion then to, public comment? See no hands. Is there a motion to pay the bills for September 17th, 2019?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Brasky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, police chief's report. Chief, you're back on.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, once again, thank you. I have 5 items on the agenda for this evening. We have scheduled the Chief for the Day program for 19 and 20. We've contacted the 6 elementary schools in the Pennsbury School District. All the schools have been notified. Now we're just waiting for the schools to tell us what students they've selected, and Mrs. Seiler will make up a schedule. Next, we have the Citizens Police Academy, which is scheduled for next Wednesday. Right now, we have between 13 and 15 people scheduled for the academy. On behalf of Officer Yeager, he asked me to put a plea out to anybody that would want to, you can sign up all this week, you can sign up the day of the academy. It's a wonderful opportunity for people to see how we work and how things work in police work in general. We have Coffee and a Cop scheduled at the Senior Citizens in November. I don't have a definitive date, but it's in the first 2 weeks. Next, we have something unique. It's never happened in Bucks County. It's Coffee with a Cop in Doylestown with all 38 police departments participating. It'll be on October 2nd from 9 to 11, and I'm pretty sure they've scheduled it for some part of the courthouse. I'm not sure, but I'll find out. Very, very important. Tomorrow's our mock accreditation. It begins at 8 o'clock. We are more than ready. We have transferred all our hard files over to Power DMS. Tomorrow there'll be a walkthrough through all the essential parts of our police station. They'll be looking at our cars. We asked them to do more than normal on a mock. We've asked them to do a regular accreditation for us tomorrow, and not to be as hard as they can, and we hope to be very successful tomorrow. Next, on the 24th, a week from today, we have the orals for the supervisory test, and that will take place starting at 9:30 in the morning. All the officers involved have been notified, and all their times have been scheduled. And lastly, this is a little unusual, but I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Gray on behalf of the entire police department. It's no secret that I've been around here a long time, and I've worked with a lot of township managers. Mr. Gray, you'll be sorely missed. I know we haven't agreed on everything over the years, but you're a good man, you're a quality individual, and you will be missed. Thank you on behalf of myself and every police officer in our township. Thank you, man.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions for Chief?
Yeah, I actually had one.
Chief, I just had a few questions.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Couple
You got it.
questions.
I was just going to ask if you could talk to Gina about maybe sending calendar invites on some of the dates, like to our email accounts. And then, I know it sounds crazy because it's all, still September, but I'm sure their graduations are probably going to be scheduled soon. If she could just send.
Yes, they'll set them up in January. We'll have that as soon as it comes out. In fact,
There's
I
some
just asked,
usually like right away in November. They're not?
No, usually December. Usually it's like 1 or 2 in December. Most are in January.
I'll check with Officer Yeager tomorrow, and
All
I'll
right.
take care of that for
But
you.
if Gina could just send the calendar invites for the stuff, you know what I mean, through email, she knows.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the mock accreditations tomorrow, when are you anticipating going through the real accreditation process?
Right now, Jeff, they were looking at October 31st, but I didn't think that was a good date because you have young people coming in and they want to get out of there because they got their kids at home. So what I asked them to do, if they could move it up to the 1st or 2nd of November. So right now, we don't have a definitive date, but it's going to be in the first couple of days of November.
Okay, great.
And Chief, just to let you know, your words toward Mr. Gray are obviously very, very heartfelt, maybe a little premature. We've been having some discussions with him recently.
Well, that's even better.
So you may be stuck with him for a while?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, all right, but, okay.
I still mean what I said. Thank you.
I agree, yep.
Thanks, Chief.
The part about him being difficult sometimes, is that
All right, manager comment.
Yes, just a few items tonight. First item is in regard to tree vitalization. That's the fall 2019 bare root tree offer. Recently, the township received the application for the annual fall bare root tree offer. The township has done similar bare root tree programs in prior years, planting them throughout the township. Over 555 trees have been purchased through the Tree Vitalize program by Falls Township. An application is required for the program. The Shade Tree Committee is requesting 12 trees at a cost of $50 each for a total of $600. Deadline for the application is Thursday, September 19th. The board is asked to consider the purchase of the 12 trees as part of the Tree Vitalize program for $600.
Okay, comments or questions from board members?
No.
None.
Mr. Gray, that was in my packet, this was in my packet. Was it an actual application for the?
Yes, this is the application that has been completed and will be sent out to
And are these trees, are they already accounted for, or will residents be able to?
oh yeah, they're accounted for. We don't have
Okay,
that.
we don't do that no more?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
No.
Any public comment? So, I mean, the fact that, again, over the past several years, planting almost 600 trees in the township is really something that, when I've talked to other elected officials in other places all over the county recently, and it's sort of a stunning number when people hear that we've done that. So it has a lot to say about, and this was a project really Mr. Gray brought to us along with the Shade Tree Commission that he works with to try and do what we can. In some ways, I think we're actually running out of places to put them in terms of township property, so, but, so we'll, I think it's a great program. So thank you very much for doing that, Mr. Gray. Is there a motion then to approve the $600 purchase of the trees through Tree Vitalize?
Yes. So
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, actually, wait, sorry. Roll call vote, sorry.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rucker?
Yes.
My apologies. Whenever you spend money, it's supposed to be a roll call vote, so. All right, Mr. Gray, what's next?
I just want to announce new businesses that started up in August of 2019. They include 860 West Bridge Street, Marsville, Bridge Street Golf at Snipes Farm, 515 South Olds Boulevard, Suite B, Paramount ABA LLC, 636 Lincoln Highway, Suite 17, Chai Balance Center, 909 Trenton Road, Fairless Hills, H&R Auto Repair, 3100 Cabot Boulevard, Langhorne, that was the sale of the Red Roof Inn, 330 Commerce Boulevard in Fairless Hills, Spirit Halloween. And finally, 164 Lincoln Highway, Suite 201, Carney Contracting Services. I also want to announce that Mylars for both Milex and Campy are ready for signature. And
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Mr. Harvey, I have 3 items for you this evening, and although you just indicated that maybe saying goodbye to Mr. Gray is a little premature, we do need to be prepared. So we have a resolution this evening designating a new Township Open Records Officer effective October 1st. So there'd be a resolution 2019-20, which would appoint Betsy Rukoff, the Finance Director, as the Township Open Records Officer, and Lieutenant Todd Pletnick as the Township Open Record Officer relating to police matters.
Would be 1923, correct?
23, excuse me.
23, correct. Something that can it be written as a contingent upon, or?
It could always be reversed. But since we don't meet again until the middle of October, we need to have a designated open records officer. So I would recommend that we do this, and maybe we'll be lucky and we'll be reversing it in October.
Okay. All right. Okay. Comments or questions?
No.
No.
Is there a motion to approve Resolution 1923?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
I would also ask for a motion to approve retaining the law firm of Obermeyer, Redmond, Maxwell, and Hippel, terms as outlined in their engagement letter, to assist the solicitor's office with a personnel matter.
We've used this firm before, correct?
We have indeed.
Yeah, several times, I think, over the years. Okay. Comments or questions?
No.
No? Is there a motion then to retain the services of Obermeyer, Maxwell, Redmond, Hippel?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And finally, I would ask for a motion to retain the services of MCS Group, consistent with their engagement letter, to assist the township with some ongoing IT matters.
Comments or questions for Mr. Clark?
None.
No?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the hiring of, wait, I just lost it. Was it?
MCS Group.
MCS Group.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. Clark, Ms. Gallagher, do you have something? No?
do not.
You look ready to sort of
Nope.
jump in? Okay. All right. And you said you're done, Mr. Gray, correct?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, thank you. Board comment. Mr. Rocco?
No comment.
I have no comment.
Mr. Brasky?
No, thank you.
Mr. Galloway?
No comment.
Just want to reiterate what was said earlier during public comment. The bridge over Mill Creek, on Mill Creek Road right by the Township Park, is scheduled to be finished in early December. That's according to, again, State Senator Cero's office. I appreciate his office looking into that for us. It was getting frustrating, as you heard, for the people down there. I also want to, this is, again, last time we meet before October, so there are Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur coming up the next few weeks, several weeks, so very blessed holidays to those residents of Falls Township of the Jewish faith. And remind everybody, it's getting a little dark earlier every day, so please keep an eye out, especially when the weather's nice, for kids who are used to running around outside, and now it's getting a little darker, so please be careful about that. And I know the street lights we put in several years ago, thanks to Mr. Rocco pushing hard for LED street lights, don't usually, knock wood, don't usually go out that much, but if they do, please contact the township, let us know, give us the precise address as you can, so that we can get people out there to fix it.
And Mr. Harvey, I'll just
yes.
add to that. There was a section in Fairless Hills where it was flashing. But
Canterbury.
That was a PICO issue.
Yes.
And typically, I understand they take up to 2 weeks to fix it.
Yeah, it takes a while.
So it's kind of like a strobe light effect, but there's nothing that we can do about that.
Right, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, that was Canterbury, I think, right?
Yes.
Canterbury? Yeah, we've had similar problems. I know in Thorn Ridge, where my mother-in-law lives, the streetlights on Tanglewood were out for a while, and it was a series of them and it was a PICO issue. There's nothing we could do about it. It wasn't all of our lights. The actual heads themselves, that's something we fix. But anything underground, obviously, that's PICO. And so we have been in contact with PICO about the Canterbury. Have we any
Yes, we have, absolutely.
update on that, or no?
Now, we reached out to Mr. Durand at Pico Energy several weeks ago. He did tell us it would be several weeks before they could get some people out there. That was about 2 weeks ago, I would think. So hopefully next week we'll see some action.
Thanks for your response, Pete.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess, we're going to be talking to him about the issue Mr. Burke brought up, so we can maybe follow up on Canterbury.
Yes, we'll
as
do.
well. Okay, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.